Oh, why hello there. My name is Jordan Upchurch, as most of you guys probably know, and today I'm going to tell you a story about my life. So, basically, I have been vlogging, as I'm sure you guys have watched on my channel, and I've talked a lot about a lot of the different things that I do throughout my day, but something that's really personal to me, that's a special part of me that I want to share with you guys, and most importantly, I want to outreach to all of my followers and fans out there, is in the sense of if you are closeted and if you don't know who you are. And that's one of the most important things that I've overcome in my life, is finding who I am. And so I came out of the closet when I was a sophomore in high school. And it was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my entire life. Telling my friend, I wrote, at the time she was my best friend, and at the time I did it, I wrote with a crayon on a piece of paper, and I passed a note to her because we were passing notes in a circle, and I wrote on there, "I'm gay," and I passed this to her. And I just remember shaking so badly and like so worrisome. And then the worst situation happened in that sense of I handed it to her. She looked at the note, she dropped it, like her hands went over her mouth, and she's like, "Oh my gosh." And then she decided she was going to drop the note, and we were in a group of people, and so they immediately are like, "What is it? What does it say?" And then they pick it up and they're reading it, and I'm like, what's going on? And my mind is spinning, and I couldn't like act because I felt like I was just locked in this motion. And so within a couple of seconds of coming out, I'd come out to about 4 or 5 people, but they had all agreed to keep it to themselves. And they did, to the most part. I slowly told people in my high school. And coming out of my high school really wasn't that hard. I grew up in a very small town, a very religious town, and so surprisingly to me, it was not that hard to come out. And it felt amazing when I came out. It felt like it came off my shoulders. And of course, as you can imagine, telling more and more people, basically pretty much the entire school found out whether I told them or not. And that's just basically what happened. So then what really made me worried was that as soon as the whole school found out, I was like, oh my gosh, are my siblings going to find out? Is my family going to find out? Because I hadn't even told my parents at the time. But a lot of people acted like it was kind of more of a quiet thing, and they didn't really act like it was something that was of importance. And so they just really kept it to themselves, and that was awesome. And so about a year after coming out to all of the people at high school, I came out to my parents. I was in the car with my mom, and we were driving home, and I passed by this house, and I looked at it, and I passed by it every single day, and for some reason the house looked different today. And I saw a dog outside of it, and a dog that I'd never seen before, and it just ran past, and for some reason it made me think, I need to come clean, and I need to tell my parents of who I am. And so that's what I did, was I told my mom. I was like, "Mom, I have something to tell you." And she's like, "What's that?" And I said, "I'm gay." And then I just started crying, and continued to cry for a good 2 or 3 minutes. And of course my mom's like, "Oh, it's okay, it's fine." Like, we pulled over to the side of the road, and she's like trying to calm me down, and she's like, "Do you want to tell Dad? Or do you want me to tell Dad?" is what she asked. And I was crying so bad and so upset, I was like, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. And so she told my dad. And it was good that my parents found out. Eventually my parents were both going to find out, so eventually I had to tell them, and I'm glad that I told them now. It was really hard for those next 2 years, my junior and senior year, just because in our house it was kind of more or less acted like that was the elephant in the room. It was never discussed. When I came out to my parents, the initial conversation was very awkward. As you can all imagine, they weren't the most supportive, but they weren't like assertive in any way and saying, you're leaving the house, anything like that. I definitely didn't have the worst experience, but I definitely didn't have the best experience either. And that was just in the sense of, like, my parents didn't understand what it was, and were really confused by it. And I feel like a lot of parents are that way, in the sense of they just don't understand what's going on. And so it takes them a while to get accustomed to it. But one of the mistakes that I made was in the sense of that I let my parents keep that elephant in the room for 2 years. And it was really awkward for me, like when stories would go on the news or something like that, I would be sitting there and I would know and my parents would know, but we would never discuss it. Whether my brother and sister were in the room or whether it was just us three, we would never discuss it. And there were a few times that I did bring up political aspects of it, and my parents got really mad, and I usually would end up in me storming off to my room. But in that sense too, it was a learning curve for them, and it was a learning curve for me too, of figuring out how to help them understand who I was. And so that's probably the hardest part. At school, I kind of got bothered sometimes by some people. There was a couple of situations where people would bully me and stuff like that, but it really wasn't. I've never had somebody like personally attack me, and also in college too. I mean, if you're in college and you haven't come out yet, and I know, believe me, I know it's extremely hard to come out. It's extremely hard to come clean. But college, I feel, is like one of the best places to do it because you have such an accepting group. Almost everybody's accepting of it. I've met very few people. I probably have hundreds of friends here at Missouri State, and out of hundreds of those friends, there is one or two that I know I cannot talk to about anything about me being gay. And it's also just, a lot of it is being comfortable with yourself. And as long as you're comfortable with yourself, and you just have to figure out who you are first before telling the world. And that's really hard too, because figuring out who you are can be extremely difficult, just because you sometimes don't want to accept who you are and things like that. So I encourage all of you to be yourselves and to love who you want to love and to be the person who you are, whether it's you being, you believing that you're a different gender than what you are when you were born, or if you are a different sexual orientation than what the norm allows. Be yourself. Be that beautiful butterfly that nobody really knows who or what it is until you break out of your shell. And that's when you can really truly be yourself. And that's when you're going to have your true friends, and that's when you're going to really make a real impact on your life. So thank you guys very much for listening to my channel. If you guys have any questions or any comments, you guys can always comment below. I also have a Twitter and Instagram that you guys can go on. If you guys have any questions at all, or if you guys have personal questions you guys want to ask me, you guys can always message me on Twitter, and I am more than happy to send a message back and answer any questions, and I'll put the links below. So make sure you guys keep watching my vlogs. I post every Tuesday and Saturday. Hope to see you then.